You're watching TSN, the sports network. This week on the Baseball Show, for the third straight season, the Pittsburgh Pirates are the Beasts of the East. An emotional weekend at the Big O as Gary Carter says goodbye. But the kid goes out in grand style with a game-winning hit at his final Montreal at-bat. Bip Roberts leads the Reds in a late charge, but it looks like the Braves will win the West. And we feature one of the National League's most underrated third basemen. All that and more on the Baseball Show, EXPOS edition.
Hi, everyone. I'm John Wells. Welcome to the show. Well, it was a great run, but the Expos were officially eliminated from the playoff race on the weekend. The Pirates clinched their third consecutive Eastern Division crown with a win over the Mets. Still, the Expos should feel good about their season. They were picked to finish closer to last place than second. The Expos also succeeded off the field. Montreal was again a baseball city, at least during the summer.
The Expos' playoff dreams came to an official end on the weekend. Pittsburgh beat the Mets to clinch their third straight National League East Division crown.
Ain't no manager better in this world. Go on, Leland. Ain't none. None. He's the best, man. He is the best.
Well, I'm excited. The players are excited. I think, it's a nice celebration, but I think you sense a little something different in the air here right now. And hopefully that'll hold true because, they're not going to let me live it down or the team live it down. A lot of people right now are saying a big deal they got there again, but, they won't get by Atlanta. I don't know, maybe we won't, but we're going to be pretty well focused, I can tell you that.
If you match our team against Atlanta, it's pretty even. And I think it's pretty ironic that this team wasn't picked and was the first team to clinch this year. And I think it says a lot not only about our ball club, but about what Jim Leland told us. And he believed in us before I think we believe in ourselves this year. And that's, I think, maybe the biggest factor more than anything else.
The Expos' final week of the season looks like this. They have 2 more games in St. Louis before an off day on Thursday. Montreal then wraps up the season with a 3-game weekend set in Chicago. The Expos wrapped up their home schedule on Sunday afternoon. More than 40,000 people showed up on Fan Appreciation Day to thank the Expos for a truly remarkable season.
We are glad that a lot of fans came out this year, and we had a good time, and it was like more welcome back home, coming home to a large crowd, and we really appreciate the fans coming out supporting us this year.
We struggled at the beginning, and they didn't show up, and then the second half we turned it on, played good ball, and they showed their appreciation by coming out to the park, so that's good to see, and then we're expecting 40,000 today, which is good. They're going to kind of say goodbye to us for this year, and they're showing up in the hundreds there.
One of the hottest questions in baseball right now is who will be the National League's MVP? There are 3 strong candidates in Pendleton, Bonds, and Sheffield. In search of an answer, the strike zone went west and polled a variety of people, from players to actors.
Terry Pendleton or Barry Bonds. Terry Pendleton or Barry Bonds. Toss a coin. It's one of the two. Right now, I'd have to go with Terry Pendleton. Guys, maybe Barry Bonds. I don't know. That's a toss-up.
It's a hard choice between Barry Bonds and Terry Pendleton. I'm going to go with Bonds.
Why?
Because I think he's done more for his team. He hasn't had anyone to hit behind him. I don't think they're as good a team all around as Atlanta. So I think that he's done more to make his team a winner than Terry Pendleton is. It's close, though.
I would really think Terry Pendleton of the Atlanta Braves. The guy down in San Diego had a great year. But when you say the most valuable player is what single athlete on your team makes your team what it is. I mean, Ernie Banks won it for a last place team, but Terry Pendleton is a leader. There are no prima donnas on that club. He's a quiet leader, but he goes about his business and makes them a team. He gives himself up. He's that far from being a superstar, but he's a great player because he doesn't take that step beyond what his teammates need of him.
Most valuable player is going to be a tough one. You got Sheffield chasing all year, Triple Crown. Bonds has had a great year and really carried their club. Pendleton, again, could repeat. That between those 3 guys, for me, it's a toss-up. I'd probably lean a little bit towards Bonds and Pendleton just because of the success of the 2 clubs. But that'll be a tough one.
Right now, I'd say Barry Bonds. He's been the big guy in September for the Pirates and really taken them, he's put them on his back and carried them, and I'd go with Barry Bonds of the Pirates right now. I think you have to.
The Expos and Pirates were deadlocked in a 1-1 tie in the 14th inning Wednesday. Montreal needed someone to step up and be the hero. Enter Moises Alou.
Swung on it deep to left field. Way back. It is a grand slam home run. Moises Alou has won the game for the Montreal Expos with a grand slam home run in the 14th inning.
Alou's grand slam gave the Expos a big win and temporarily kept their slim playoff hopes alive. Still to come on the Expos show, an emotional weekend at Olympic Stadium as the kid says goodbye. Stay with us.
You know, Diet Pepsi's now for everyone. That's right, Ray. Meet my twin brother, Irv.
And our twins, the Irvettes.
With caffeine-free Diet Pepsi, I get all that great taste, but there's no caffeine. Sing it, brother. You got the right one, baby. Irresistible, uncontestably tasteable, and caffeine-free. You got the right one, baby. Hey.
It's 100%
I'm a big man.
Why do so many men stick with Bic?
I'm a big man.
Because there's a Bic for every beard. Bic Regular, a great shave at a great price.
I'm a big man.
Bic Sensitive, Bic Babies, tender skin. Bic Metal, slim head, total control.
Yeah, I'm a big man.
I'm a big man.
Regular, sensitive, metal.
I'm a big man.
Trivia time. Who did the Expos get from the New York Mets in exchange for Gary Carter in 1984? We'll have the answer for you a little later on in the show.
Time may not have been kind to Gary Carter's health, but even after 8 seasons away from Montreal, his popularity never suffered. In a hockey-dominated city, Gary Carter was still an idol. Despite 2 aching knees and limited playing time, Carter was still Mr. Expo to the fans. But at the age of 38, the kid had to finally call it a day.
There comes a time where you have to make a separation from the game as a player on the field, but I won't ever leave the game. The kid will always be a part of baseball.
It was a very emotional weekend for Gary Carter. On Friday, Carter announced his retirement after 18 seasons in the major leagues. Carter broke in with the Expos in 1975, and for the next 10 seasons became one of the best catchers to ever play the game. In the process, Carter embraced the city of Montreal, getting involved in community affairs and, more importantly, trying to learn to speak French. He was accorded a hero status, usually reserved for hockey players. Carter had great personal success, but as a team, the Expos failed to live up to their potential. The closest the Expos got was in 1981, when they lost a heartbreaking playoff series to the Dodgers. In 1984, Carter was traded to the New York Mets. 2 years later, he was on a World Series champion. From there, Carter's knees started to go downhill. The grind of catching almost 2,000 games was taking its toll. Carter left the Mets and played 1 season in San Francisco. He then played another in Los Angeles. Then, at the ripe old age of 37, he returned home to Montreal. Carter's signing was looked on as a publicity stunt by the Expos. Carter's job was to bring people to the ballpark. But the Expos' surprising season did that on its own, and Carter saw less and less playing time. Sunday was Carter's last game at Olympic Stadium. Every at-bat was greeted with a standing ovation. Then in the 7th inning, Carter delivered a game-winning hit, ironically over the head of former teammate Andre Dawson. It was a Hollywood ending, an ending that Carter emotionally embraced.
I would like to thank all the Expo front office for bringing me back here to Montreal in 1992, that I could, for one last time, be able to hang my hat in the city that I wanted it to belong, and that's right here in Montreal.
Time now for the Expos Diet Pepsi Plays of the Week, and we start on Wednesday night against the Pirates. Mike LaVallier's hit up the middle, catches Spike Owen going the wrong way, but Owen hangs tough and makes a great play to get the out at first base. Moises Alou also contributed a pair of great catches, first against Jay Bell of the Pirates Thursday, then against Doug DeCenza with the Cubs Saturday. From Friday night against the Cubs, Delino DeShields makes a great sprawling play to get the out at second. Later in the same game, it was Marquise Grissom's turn, making the basket catch on this fly ball, and he comes up gunning. A perfect throw nailed Alex Arias at the plate. But here is the play of the week. We go back to Wednesday night against the Bucks. Tim Wakefield thinks he has a base hit, but Larry Walker has other ideas. Just your typical 9-3 put-out. Certainly deserves another look. The fans think so. For the 3rd time this season, Larry Walker takes away a base hit and guns a runner out at first base, making the Expos Diet Pepsi Play of the Week. Moises Alou liked playing the hero so much against the Pirates, he tried it again Friday against Chicago. Alou's clutch 2-out single scored Will Cordero with the tying run in the bottom of the 9th. Alou's heroics forced extra innings and gave Larry Walker a chance to win it in the 10th. Still to come on the Expos show, we meet one of the National League's most underrated third basemen. Stay with us.
You know, there's real magic in Diet Pepsi. It's got that special aha ingredient.
Got the right one, baby.
Okay, girls. Now, what's that magic ingredient?
With 100%
If you've ever had acid indigestion, what I'm about to show you is surprising. Think of this rose as your stomach. Watch what happens when I dip it in concentrated acid. Serious stuff. Now, watch how Pepto-Bismol coats this rose and works to protect it. Don't suffer with indigestion. Get the effective coating action of Pepto-Bismol. Serious medicine for your stomach.
If you could design the perfect hockey pads, they'd probably look like this. If you could create the perfect hockey stick, it would probably look like this. If you could develop the perfect hockey glove, it would probably look like this. And if you could come up with a perfect hockey player, chances are he'd probably look like this. Go with the pros at the source for sports.
One more look at our trivia question. Who did the Expos get from the New York Mets in exchange for Gary Carter in 1984? The answer is Hubie Brooks, Mike Fitzgerald, Herm Winningham, and Floyd Yeomans.
Two years ago, when Jeff Bagwell came to the Houston Astros, Ken Caminiti faced a challenge to his job at third base. The Astros eventually moved Bagwell to first, and Caminetti enjoyed his best season in the majors. But Caminetti will be challenged again next spring. The Astros selected power-hitting third baseman Phil Nevin first overall in the June draft. And in Houston, the talk has already started about who will play third. Steve Mark has the story.
He is perhaps the most underrated third baseman in the National League.
I don't know how they can ignore him for Gold Glove any longer. I just don't see how you could have a better all-around season than this man's had. Defensively, for me, he's the best in our league.
Without a lot of fanfare on a team that doesn't get a lot of spotlight in the first place, Ken Caminetti has become one of the most spectacular glove men around, has been near the top of the league in fielding percentage throughout his 4 full years in the majors. And once Caminetti gets the ball, look out. A number of scouts will tell you Caminetti has the absolute best throwing arm in the league, perhaps in all of baseball. But outside this place, folks around the National League don't hear much about Ken Caminetti.
What makes me tick is I might be underrated, but I know my teammates look at me like I'm a decent third baseman. I have respect for my teammates, and I have respect from other members along the league, and that's all I want.
There have been times when Caminetti even wondered about the respect from his own franchise. Twice in the last 2 seasons, the Astros have hinted someone else might be ripe for Caminetti's job. All Caminetti has done is promptly fended off the challengers.
Everybody's trying to pick on Ken, but, he keeps on coming back and having great years.
In spring training a season ago, the Astros held an open competition between Caminetti and then rookie Jeff Bagwell. Caminetti responded so resoundingly, the Astros moved Bagwell to first base. This summer, the Astros, with the first pick in the draft, select another third baseman, Phil Nevin. Since then, Caminetti's numbers at third and at the plate have picked up so well, the Astros say they'll move Nevin to shortstop. Caminetti wins again.
You can't think about it. You think about it, they signed a first-round third baseman. I can let that affect me. I could say, oh, I'm getting traded, like you hear. Over the years, I've heard so many people say they're traded, and they never get traded, and it affects them. They're worried about the trade so much that they're going out there, and they're not really out there. Their body's out there, but they're thinking they're somewhere else.
For a guy who plays his position like a goalie, you'd think injuries would become some sort of undoing. But Caminetti even deflects those. Last season, Caminetti tore a tendon in his right knee, never underwent surgery, and Caminetti has continued to play through considerable pain. Only a separated shoulder in late April put Caminetti momentarily out of the Astros lineup.
Usually when I'm feeling real good, I tell somebody to kick me or something. Because when I feel real good, it seems like I always go 0-4 or make a couple errors. Or, in this game, I think I play a little bit better at 80% than I do at 100, so.
Seems that finally 80% is enough for the rest of the National League to start taking notice. From Houston, Steve Mark for the Baseball Show.
Bip Roberts put his name in the National League record books on Wednesday night at Dodger Stadium. This leadoff single gave Roberts 10 straight hits and a share of the National League record. Roberts had a chance to break the record in the 5th inning, but Pedro Estachio fielded this comebacker cleanly to get Roberts at first.
I've never in my life thought I would ever get 10 hits in a row. I've never done that in sandlot ball. I've never done that in Little League or anywhere else. And like I said, I was fortunate. I was blessed tonight. I was blessed through this whole thing because I guess the good Lord decided that it was time for somebody to do it, and he picked me.
That's hard to fathom. Very impressive. And, the 10th base hit was a line shot, and the other 9 were equally hit as hard. There's been no choppers to the infield, no bloopers, just hard hit balls. And this guy here has done something that has only been done, a few times in the history of baseball, and he can swing the bat. He's an aggressive hitter. He didn't do it bunting, he did it hitting. And I was really pulling for him to get the 11th, but 10 in a row is quite a feat, and he should be proud of it, and I'm proud for him.
Well, it's funny because, after I got the 7th hit, I came back to the bench and I asked Barry Larkin, I said, Barry, what's the record? And he said, I don't know. And I said, well, I just keep going, and then pretty soon, people were saying that 10 hits was the National League record and stuff like that. And I didn't want to get caught up in it. I just want to stay as relaxed as possible because, like I said, our ultimate goal is to try to catch the Braves.
Another disappointing season for the San Diego Padres has cost Greg Riddock his job. The Padres fired Riddock after 2.5 seasons as manager. Under Riddock, the Padres finished no higher than 3rd. AAA manager Jim Riggleman will take over.
all of us have pluses and minuses in our life. And in the overall analysis, when we looked at the situation with Greg and the Padres, we felt that in the best interest of the organization right now, a change would be the best.
I'm very anxious to evaluate this personnel, so I think it's a good opportunity for me to see this ball club, see it play. I've seen the players from Las Vegas. They impressed me greatly, the ones that are here now, but at this time, it's going to give me a chance to see some of the veteran players, a little bit maybe reversed from a normal September situation where a lot of the younger players are playing. I need to see some of the veteran players play and help these people evaluate that talent.
I look at it in terms of this is not something that I didn't have a deep burning desire to have to do in the first place.
Steve Buechele is playing in his 7th season in the major leagues. The slick fielding third baseman is on his 3rd team in less than 2 seasons. Like many others before him, Buechele has trouble picking just one great moment.
Boy, that's a tough one. I don't know if I can single out one, but certainly my first ball game in the big leagues, I think, sticks out in my mind as one of the best moments of my career.
Where was that?
That was in Detroit, 1985. I got called up in Detroit, and of course, last year getting a chance to experience the playoffs for the first time, I think, was with Pittsburgh was a great moment in my career. And I think Nolan Ryan's playing with Nolan Ryan in Texas for so many years and being there for his 2 no-hitters and his 300th win and his 5,000th strikeout, those games stick out in my mind too. So I've been fortunate to have some pretty good moments.
It was a fairy tale ending to a great career, and even though we've showed it to you once before, we felt Gary Carter's last at-bat in Montreal was worthy of a second look.
Emotional moment here in Montreal. Listen to these people. Watch Carter.
Still to come on the baseball show, our weekly talk with Expos manager Felipe Alou.
Some say the Mississippi Delta is the home of the blues.
Well, I'm going down the road and stopping Fannie Mae.
Others say Chicago.
Gonna tell Fannie what I heard. A boyfriend said, don't start me talking. I'll tell everything.
But really, you'll find some cool blues right in your own backyard.
I'm gonna break up this signifying.
Honest and true. You bet it's blue.
More people rely on Purolator than on any other courier company in Canada. It's not because we're Canada's largest courier or because we have more technology. It's because when it comes to delivering your package on time, Purolator people will go to any lengths.
Wake up. Hey Canada, wake up, today is on McCain Day.
What's the secret of McCain's rich-tasting juice? More oranges. McCain concentrates the juice of more oranges into every can. More than Minute Maid, more than Old South. So you have a special reason to buy McCain.
You bet I do.
It's like an extra squeeze of juice in every glass. So compared to Minute Maid and Old South, you have an extra reason to drink McCain.
You bet I do. Wake up to McCain.
Dave Winfield rookie card, $60 to $95. Still a pretty good buy for a surefire Hall of Famer. There's a lot of misconception in the industry about price guides, and it's something I really believe should be addressed. Both dealers and collectors seem to think that the price guides are what determining the prices of cards. That's simply not the case. It's dealers and collectors who determine what the cards are worth. I mean, no collector has the right to say to a dealer, how can you sell that card for $4 when it's only $2 in the guide? The simple fact of the matter is, a dealer has the right to sell a card for whatever he or she feels it's worth. Now, the most influential and powerful guide in the market is the Beckett Price Guide. But that doesn't mean that Beckett sets the prices. The market sets the prices. And another thing to remember, if a player like Brady Anderson or Roberto Alomar or Juan Guzman goes on a tear, the guides are always slow in reflecting the price increase. After all, it takes a while to print the guide and get it out into the public's hands. It's always the collector and the dealer who will determine what the prices are worth. So you got to remember that a price guide is only a guide. There are others like Tough Stuff and Baseball Hobby News, and they're good as well, as long as you remember that a guide is really an educational tool. It lets you know when players had rookie cards and roughly what they're worth. But don't be fooled into thinking that whatever the price is in the guide is really what the card is worth. I'm Rand Simon, and I'll see you next week on Cards and Collectibles. So what is that Alomar rookie card worth anyway?
Cards and Collectibles, brought to you by Donruss.
With the 1992 season nearly over and the Expos officially eliminated, the focus is now shifting to what's ahead. The Expos have some great young talents, and manager Felipe Alou is excited about what the future will bring. Ken Singleton has more in this week's edition of the Manager's Chat.
Thank you very much, John. Felipe, when I think back to when you took over the ball club in May, there was a lot of work to be done with this team, and it seems that the team has made progression more than even people thought they would. And I'd like to get your thoughts on what has gone on this year with the Montreal Expos.
Well, we accomplished a lot, not everything that I was hoping for. We improved our offensive and defensive game. We won games. We challenged until just a day ago for first place. We made it a very good season. We're looking forward to continuous improvement because the talent is here. Many young players with great talent. So, hey, you know, it looks good for tomorrow.
You know, you talk about tomorrow. That means spring training. Things that you might be working on in spring training can really get this ball club off to a good start.
That's right. We want to be a better bunting ball club, including the squeeze play. We want to be a better club holding runners. We want to be a better ball club on pitch outs, the various areas of pitch outs. We want to understand situation hitting. We left some people on base. We one of the best clubs driving runners from third base, but we could be a lot better because of the talent we have. We got to study that and put it between the lines at home plate, and there's no question that the talent is here, but we got to continue to work hard with the young players we have.
Felipe, I think people would agree you did a great job, and thanks for a very entertaining summer with the Expos.
Thank you very much.
Back to you, John.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. The Expos may have a difficult time keeping all of their young talent in Montreal, with Colorado and Florida joining the league next season. Next week, we'll talk to General Manager Dan Duquette and find out how the expansion draft may hurt the Expos. And we'll also take a look at the next wave of potential young Expo stars. Stay with us now. Coming up on TSN, it's the Red Sox and the Blue Jays, live from Skydome. I'm John Wells. Thanks for watching.
Wednesday, your TSN lineup caps the month in style. First, join host Jim Van Horn for Canadian Golf Today, featuring a salute to the top performers on the Canadian Tour. Then, defending world champion John Perreault faces Jimmy White in the final of the UK Open Snooker Championship. Later,